I'm Kurtop, and these are the 100 most unusual archaeological finds.
Ice Age art. The mammoth from the Alp-Donau region, Germany, is one of the oldest examples of Ice Age art, dating back about 35,000 years. This miniature figurine is carved from mammoth ivory, which in itself is a testament to the skill and artistic sensibility of prehistoric people. Discovered in the 1930s, the artifact became an important link in the study of early human art. The uniqueness of this piece lies not only in its age, but also in its level of detail. On the surface of the figurine, there are notches, possibly symbolic or decorative, which add an air of mystery to the artifact. They may be early examples of communication or spiritual representations of ancient people. Archaeologists suggest that such figurines might have been used for ritual purposes, serving as hunters' talismans or symbols of luck. The mammoth, symbolizing strength and endurance, probably played an important role in the worldview of primitive tribes. The Qumran Manuscripts, these ancient Hebrew manuscripts, were discovered between 1946 and 1956 in the caves of Qumran, near the Dead Sea. They transformed understanding of religious and cultural life during the Second Temple period. The discovered texts cover the period from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, and among them are some of the earliest known versions of biblical books, as well as non-biblical and deuterocanonical texts, including liturgical, apocalyptic, and legal documents. The biblical manuscripts are especially valuable as they allow us to trace the development of the scripture text and provide unique comparative material for analyzing changes in religious texts of that time. These scrolls include fragments of almost all the books of the Old Testament, except for the book of Esther, as well as texts that were previously unknown or lost. The scrolls were probably created or preserved by the Essene community that lived in the Qumran area. Today, most of the scrolls are kept in the Shrine of the Book at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, and their study continues. The rock crystal reliquary, created in France between 1175 and 1200, is a work of art and religious craftsmanship. It is made of gold and silver and decorated with rock crystal, which adds transparency and lightness to it. Inside the reliquary are kept the relics of saints or other valuable relics, which hold great significance for believers. Such reliquaries often became objects of veneration. They were displayed in churches and monasteries where they attracted pilgrims from all corners. The design of the reliquary itself is especially interesting. It is made in the form of a miniature building with decorative arches, columns, and small figures of saints, symbolizing the idea of a spiritual temple. A transparent cylinder made of rock crystal allowed believers to see the contents, which strengthened their faith in the holiness of the preserved relics. The first vending machine. The city of Alexandria in Egypt was a true gem of the Hellenistic era, a center of science, culture, and innovation. It was there that the Mouseion, the first prototype of a university in history, was located, as well as the famous Library of Alexandria, which preserved knowledge from all over the ancient world. In this city, in the 1st century AD, lived and worked an outstanding scientist and inventor, Heron of Alexandria. His contribution to science and technology was truly immense. He worked in mathematics, optics, hydrostatics, and also created prototypes of such inventions as the theodolite, odometer, and even a steam turbine powered by jet propulsion. However, one of his inventions is especially interesting in the context of everyday life. Heron created the world's first vending machine. This amazing mechanism was located at the entrance to the temple and dispensed a portion of holy water for drinking and washing hands. The operating principle was simple. A temple visitor would insert a 5 drachma coin, and the machine would dispense a certain amount of water. The device was triggered by the weight of the coin, which moved a lever that opened a valve. It might seem that such a simple system could be easily tricked by throwing something other than a coin. However, modern researchers and reconstructors claim that the machine could be adjusted for a specific weight and size of the coin, which made attempts at fraud practically useless. This mechanism, despite its simplicity, was a brilliant invention for its time and showed just how progressive Heron of Alexandria's ideas were. Clay theater ticket. In the ancient city of Prusias ad Hippium, located in the northwest of Turkey, archaeologists discovered a clay ticket from the Roman era, a statuette of Aphrodite, and the top of a sacred staff called a thyrsus. This city, previously known as Hippios and Kyros, was renamed in honor of King Prusias I of Bithynia, who captured it in the 3rd century BC. Later, under Roman rule, Prusiata flourished and became an important cultural center. Among the preserved structures of the city, the ancient amphitheater stands out in particular, which the locals call the 40 Steps. This semicircular structure, 100 meters long and 74 meters wide, is decorated with carved steps featuring a lion's claw ornament. Despite the earthquakes, the theater has remained almost untouched. About 80 structures have already been uncovered, and the artifacts found are in excellent condition. Discovery of the century. Research in the caves of the Danube Valley in southern Germany shows that Stone Age people were not just cave savages. The discoveries made in the Swabian Alps show the remarkable artistic abilities our ancestors had about 45,000 years ago. The Swabian Alps may be the cradle of modern European man. This is evidenced by the mammoth ivory figurines found here, which are up to 40,000 years old. A recent discovery in the karst cave at Hohlefels, located near Blaubeuren, confirms this assumption. During the excavation, a student from the institute found an animal figurine about 6 centimeters long. Although its head is missing, scientists believe it is an image of an otter. Archaeologists have called this artifact the find of the year. About 45,000 years ago, Homo sapiens arrived in the Danube region, living alongside Neanderthals. Previously, it was believed that modern humans settled more actively in the territory of present-day France, as evidenced by discoveries in cave paintings. However, the figurines from the Swabian Jura change our understanding of the settlement and life of ancient people in Europe. The caves of the Swabian Jura have been studied since the mid-19th century. The findings include stone and bone tools, as well as ornaments, which provide important information about the lives of Neanderthals and other early representatives of humanity. In the mid-20th century, the Nazi organization Ahnenerbe also conducted excavations here, seeking to find evidence of the existence of ancient Aryans. In recent years, excavations in the caves have resumed and new discoveries have been made, including a figurine of a woman known as the Venus of Hohlefels. This image, with its ample breasts and pronounced feminine features, likely symbolized fertility. Other finds, such as ancient flutes made from bird bones, indicate a high level of spirituality and artistry among our ancestors. The Skeleton Lake. At the bottom of Rupkund Lake in the Indian Himalayas, hundreds of human skeletons have been discovered, which gave it the name Skeleton Lake. The age of these remains varies greatly, and it is still not exactly known how all these people died. It was previously assumed that they might have been victims of a single catastrophe, such as a powerful storm that took the lives of a large group of people. Recent studies have only made the mystery more complicated. Scientists conducted DNA analysis of 38 bodies found and discovered that the remains belonged to people from different eras, separated by thousands of years. These people arrived at the lake at different periods of time, which disproved the theory of the mass death of a single group. The research began 10 years ago, when geneticist Kumarasamy Tangaraj from the Indian Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology sequenced the mitochondrial DNA of 72 skeletons. Some had Indian ancestry, but some of the remains belonged to people with DNA characteristic of residents of Western Europe, particularly Crete and Greece. Interestingly, the time range of these findings also turned out to be diverse. Most of the bones date back to the 7th-10th centuries AD, but among them are also remains from the 19th-20th centuries. The causes of death of these people remain unknown, which adds mystery to this place. The Band of Holes in Peru. In the Pisco Valley in Peru, there is a mysterious place known as the Band of Holes, or Monte Sierpe. It is a narrow strip of land, 14 to 20 meters wide and about 1,500 meters long, covered with thousands of shallow pits. Their exact purpose remains a mystery, although scientists have put forward many theories. The site first gained fame thanks to an aerial photograph by Robert Shippey, published in the 1930s in National Geographic. Archaeologists avoided Monte Sierpe for a long time. It was only in the 1950s that Victor von Hagen studied the pits and suggested that they were empty pits, graves, and their total number is estimated at 5,000. Later, John Hisla put forward the theory that the pits were used as storage facilities, similar to those found in other parts of Peru. Each hole is about a meter in diameter and up to a meter deep. They are made in different ways. Some are dug into the mound, others are surrounded by stone walls. Modern research, including a detailed map created with a drone in 2015, has shown that the strip of holes consists of 5,000 to 6,000 pits divided into blocks with unique patterns. Nearby are Inca roads and the remains of storage facilities, and the ceramics found indicate that they date back to the 15th century when the Incas conquered the Chincha people. Archaeologist Charles Tanish believes that the pits may have been used to measure agricultural tribute that local farmers gave to the rulers. Other scholars, such as Jean-Pierre Prosant, believe that the line of holes may be even older. He believes that the pits may have been used to store fertilizers, such as excrement. To this day, the line of holes remains one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in Peru. Who created it, why, and how still remains a subject of debate and ongoing research. 120 ornaments in the buttocks. The stricter customs inspections become, the more inventive smugglers get. Recently, a man was detained at El Prat Airport in Catalonia who tried to smuggle an entire collection of jewelry inside himself, hiding 121 pieces of jewelry in one of the most unexpected places, between his buttocks. He hoped to fly to Algeria without any trouble. Among the hidden items were earrings, bracelets, rings, medals, and crosses. A full assortment for a jewelry shop. The border guard became suspicious because of the man's nervous behavior and his one-way ticket. He was taken to a separate room for additional inspection, where an X-ray scan revealed a large amount of metal in his backside. When the contents were extracted, even the experienced customs officers were shocked. 8 bracelets, 23 chains, 17 medals, 7 crosses, 19 rings, 15 earrings, and 32 fragments of gold jewelry. The attempt to avoid customs declaration in this way failed. The man was detained and the gold was confiscated. Now, the Spanish police are investigating the origin of the jewelry and the possible connections of the smuggler with a criminal group. The Tomb of Tutankhamun. The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb is one of the most famous archaeological finds of the 20th century. This is the final resting place of the young pharaoh who ruled Egypt from 1332 to 1323 BC during the 18th dynasty. Unlike other royal tombs, its size and decoration are quite modest, which is probably due to the unexpected death of Tutankhamun at a young age. It is possible that this tomb was not originally intended for the pharaoh, but was adapted for him due to a lack of time. Despite its modest size, the tomb amazed researchers with the quantity and splendor of the burial items. Among the finds were gold jewelry, household items, a throne, furniture, clothing, and of course, the famous golden funerary mask of Tutankhamun, which has become a symbol of ancient Egyptian culture. A total of more than 5,000 artifacts were found, each of which helped reveal important details about the life and death of the pharaohs. The tomb was discovered in 1922 by the British archaeologist Howard Carter and his team. Their discovery caused a real sensation around the world, not only because of the enormous amount of treasures, but also thanks to the exceptional preservation of the artifacts, which shed light on the era of Tutankhamun's reign. The most important difference between Tutankhamun's tomb and all the others is its preservation. It has remained in its original state. This discovery became a landmark event in Egyptology and still remains one of the most important archaeological discoveries of all time. Let's hope it won't be the last. The face of Tutankhamun's grandmother. Scientists were able to reconstruct the appearance of Queen T, Tutankhamun's grandmother, thanks to modern 3D technology. The mummy of T was found more than 120 years ago in the Valley of the Kings, but only now has it been possible to accurately reconstruct her face. Experts studied the structure of the skull, reconstructed the soft tissues, the volume of the subcutaneous layer, and the hair, relying on data about the appearance of women in ancient Egypt. As a result, they created the image of a woman with brown eyes, chestnut curly hair, a high cheekbone face, and dark skin. Tia's facial features turned out to be delicate and harmonious. Queen Tia was born around 1398 BC in a family that did not belong to the nobility. Her father, Yuya, was a chariot commander, and her mother, Tuya, managed the harem. Thanks to her personal qualities, Tia became the wife of Pharaoh Amenhotep III and had a significant influence on the politics of Egypt. She participated in governing the country, appeared in official documents, and was respected by her husband. Her son Akhenaten carried out one of the largest religious reforms in Egypt, abandoning the traditional gods and making the cult of Aten central. These changes had a strong impact on culture and art, and Tia's grandson Tutankhamun later restored the old traditions. His short but remarkable reign became famous thanks to the discovery of his tomb in 1922. Scientists have determined that Titai died at the age of 40 to 60, most likely of natural causes. Some of her features, such as the shape of her chin, were passed down to her descendants, including Tutankhamun. The stepped pyramids in Spain, the pyramids of Qumran, are a unique archaeological complex located on the island of Tenerife, one of the Canary Islands belonging to Spain. These pyramid structures, built from basalt stones, attract the attention of researchers and tourists thanks to their mysterious history and unusual architecture. There are a total of 6 pyramids on the territory of the complex, which have a stepped shape and terraced bases, reminiscent of the structures of ancient Mesoamerican civilizations. Some researchers believe that the pyramids were built by the ancient Aboriginal people of the Canary Islands, the Guanches, who used them for ritual and religious purposes. In support of this theory, they point to the similarity of the Qumran pyramids with other ancient structures that were used for worshiping gods and holding ceremonies. However, there is also an alternative point of view suggesting that the pyramids were built in the 19th century as part of agricultural terraces. A distinctive feature of the Qumran pyramids is their orientation in relation to astronomical events. Studies have shown that the pyramids are constructed in such a way as to be oriented toward the solstice. On the day of the summer solstice, you can observe a unique phenomenon when the shadow of the pyramids aligns perfectly with them, creating the effect of a double sunset. This astronomical alignment suggests the possible use of the pyramids as an observatory or for conducting calendar rituals. The oldest Christian church. Archaeologists have discovered the remains of an Armenian church almost 2,000 years old, making it one of the oldest in the world and the oldest in Armenia. The University of Münster in Germany, which collaborated with the Armenian Academy of Sciences during the excavations, called this discovery sensational evidence of early Christianity in Armenia. The church was found during excavations in Artashat, which was once a thriving metropolis and the capital of the ancient Armenian kingdom. Experts believe that the church was built in the 4th century AD at the same time as the Etchmiadzin Cathedral, the first Armenian church, which is considered the oldest in the world. The discovered building is the oldest archaeologically confirmed temple on the territory of Armenia. This is the first known octagonal church in Armenia. Similar structures are found on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea and are also dated to the 4th century. The church resembled early Christian memorial buildings. Its diameter was about 30 meters. The floor was made of a mixture of sand and cement, and the walls were made of terracotta, probably brought from Greece or Italy. Scientists also discovered traces of wooden platforms, which made it possible to accurately date the structure using radiocarbon analysis. A miniature wonder. This miniature almanac with an embroidered cover created in France around 1780 is a true masterpiece of 18th century decorative art. Its dimensions of just 3 by 7 centimeters make it not only a work of art, but also an object of intriguing collectible interest. Such miniatures were popular among the French aristocracy and served both practical and aesthetic purposes. The cover, made of embroidered fabric, is decorated with an intricate floral pattern, which symbolized not only the taste of the era, but also the high craftsmanship of needlework from that time. The red and blue decorative elements on the edges give the item additional elegance. Such almanacs were often used as gifts, accompanied by personal inscriptions or poems, adding even more personal value to the item. Its small size suggests that it was intended to be carried in pockets or reticules, allowing the owners to display their refined taste. It may have contained notes, calendars, or even love messages, making it a witness to the intimate moments of life in those years. A ritual during the change of power. Archaeological excavations at the Yucanal settlement in northern Guatemala have uncovered traces of an ancient ritual that may have symbolized a public change of regime in Maya civilization. In the upper part of the temple pyramid, charred human bones and royal ornaments were found. These artifacts may indicate special burial rites or ceremonies. Analysis showed that the bones belonged to at least 4 adults, 3 of whom have been identified as men. One of the skeletons was exposed to high temperatures exceeding 800 degrees. This study confirms that the remains found could have belonged to members of the royal family, who were originally buried elsewhere, and centuries later were burned as part of a ritual associated with their transfer to the pyramid. Among the items found were 1,500 fragments of various ornaments, pendants, beads, plates, and mosaics made of green stone, obsidian objects, blades, 10,000 beads made from seashells, as well as pendants made from mammal teeth. Fragments of a mosaic funerary mask made of green stone were also discovered, which is typical for royal burials from that period. Radiocarbon analysis indicates that the deaths of the people occurred about 100 years before the burning. This confirms the theory that the burial could have been part of a ritual, symbolizing both the literal and symbolic destruction of the previous dynasty of the Konvitznal line. This could have been a highly ceremonial event, associated with a change in the political order in the region. A student discovered an entire city. Mexican archaeologists accidentally uncovered an ancient Maya city hidden in the jungles of Campeche. A student researcher from Tulane University, Luke Auld Thomas, discovered a city called Valeriana while reviewing LiDAR survey data. This method allows mapping objects beneath layers of vegetation, and Auld Thomas managed to spot what had previously escaped the attention of other specialists. The city of Valeriana, with an area of about 16.6 square kilometers, impresses with its structure. Pyramids, sports fields, amphitheaters, and roads connecting the districts have been discovered here. Archaeologists believe that Valeriana was probably home to 30,000 to 50,000 people at its peak. From 750 to 850 AD, this city is second only to the famous Calakmul in terms of building density. The city layout indicates a complex structure, 2 major centers with temple pyramids, connected by a network of roads and residential quarters, as well as residences and places for rituals. Traces of water reservoirs have even been found, which indicates a thoughtful use of natural resources. This discovery confirms that tropical forests were not places where civilizations died, but on the contrary, could support rich and complex cultures. Professor Marcelu Canutu notes that the use of LiDAR technology over the past 10 years has accelerated the discovery of new Maya cities that previously remained unknown. Sacsayhuaman is a majestic fortress located at an altitude of 3,701 meters on the northern outskirts of Cusco, the ancient capital of the Inca Empire in Peru. Built in the 15th century during the reign of the great Sapa Inca Pachacuti and his successors, Sacsayhuaman is considered one of the most outstanding achievements of Inca engineering and architecture. The complex was strategically located to protect Cusco and its inhabitants, as well as to serve as an important ceremonial center. The most impressive feature of Sacsayhuaman is its massive walls, built from giant blocks of gray limestone. These boulders, some of which weigh over 100 tons, were skillfully shaped and fitted with remarkable precision, without the use of any mortar. Despite the enormous size and weight of the stones, the joints between them are so tight that not even a knife blade can fit between the blocks. This demonstrates the incredible skills and knowledge of the Inca in construction, which continue to inspire admiration and mystery among scientists and engineers. In addition, the structure of Sacsayhuaman has a zigzag shape, which adds an extra level of complexity to its construction and suggests a deliberate, strategic, and symbolic significance. The fortress was used not only for defense but also for religious and state ceremonies, making it an important spiritual and cultural center. Message in a bottle. Norwegian archaeologist Jakob Bredesen was shocked when he discovered a message in a bottle that had been buried in the ground for more than 150 years. The discovery was made during the excavation of an ancient Viking cemetery. The message was left by archaeologist Anders Lorange in 1974 when he first explored this burial mound. Archaeologists haven't opened Viking burial mounds in Norway for over 100 years, and it's incredible that they decided to excavate this one again. The burial mound where the bottle was found belongs to the legendary king Outbjorn, who was buried with the largest Viking ship in the world. The Norwegian Ministry of Cultural Heritage initiated the excavation to nominate the burial mound for UNESCO World Heritage status. Inside the bottle, they found a note left by Lorange to 19th century coins, his business card, and a letter. The translation of the note reads, "This burial mound was excavated in 1974. Fallen warriors are buried here. They were burned together with the ship, weapons, and ornaments. 26 shields, 2 swords, an axe, numerous arrows, and other artifacts were found. All the findings were handed over to the Bergen Museum." The burial mound became famous due to the large number of preserved artifacts, which confirms the traditions of Viking funeral rituals, where warriors were often sent on their final journey on ships with weapons and armor. The Vikings were seafarers and conquerors from Scandinavia, who, from the 8th to the 11th century, explored and captured coastal territories. Some scholars believe that they may have been the first Europeans to reach North America. The Staffordshire Hoard is the largest discovery of Anglo-Saxon gold and silver artifacts found to date. The astonishing collection includes about 4,600 items and fragments, with a total weight of more than 5 kilograms of gold and 1.5 kilograms of silver, as well as more than 3,500 pieces of cloisonné jewelry. The discovered items include parts of military equipment, jewelry, and religious artifacts demonstrating the high craftsmanship of Anglo-Saxon artisans and the wealth of those who owned these objects. The hoard was discovered in 2009 with the help of a metal detector in a field near the village of Hammerwich, not far from the city of Lichfield in Staffordshire, England. Archaeologists believe that the treasures were buried between 650 and 675 AD, although some items may be older and date back to the 6th or 7th centuries. The Staffordshire hoard includes many military items, such as gold fragments of swords and helmets, which indicates the importance of military culture at that time. The religious artifacts found are of particular value as they testify to the spread of Christianity in Anglo-Saxon Britain. Today, the Staffordshire hoard is displayed in various museums across England and continues to attract the attention of researchers and history enthusiasts from all over the world. Soap is one of the oldest hygiene products. The first mention of soap was found by archaeologists on clay tablets from Mesopotamia, which are about 3,500 years old. However, many scientists believe that soap was used even earlier. In ancient Egypt, papyri found in the tombs of pharaohs contain mentions that rulers washed themselves using soap. At that time, soap was made from a mixture of fats and ash, which, when undergoing a chemical reaction, Staffordshire Hoard of England. This ancient product was important not only for hygiene, but also for treating skin diseases. Over time, soap recipes were improved, and already in ancient Rome, soap became more widespread. Thus, the history of soap spans thousands of years, and it has always played a key role in maintaining cleanliness and health. A church seal from the 13th century. In Suffolk County, England, Paul Henderson, together with his 10-year-old son George, went on a search in the fields of Woodbridge. Arming his son with a metal detector, they didn't have to wait long. After just 10 minutes, the device gave a signal. At a depth of 12 centimeters, George discovered an unusual flat, oval-shaped object with pointed corners, which shocked his father. This item surpassed all of George's previous finds, who has been passionate about this hobby with his father since childhood. Paul, as a history enthusiast, immediately recognized the object as a medieval copper seal. It is decorated with an image of the Virgin Mary with the infant, and a Latin inscription indicating its connection to the Butley Monastery. After returning home, the father and son contacted the coroner, who confirmed that the seal dates back to the early 13th century and has great historical value. Later, the seal was sold at auction for £4,000 sterling, and the proceeds were divided between George and the owner of the field. Greetings from the Neolithic. This magnificent artifact, a dagger with a bear's head, was found in the Puukkiajoki region, Finland, and it dates back to the Stone Age, approximately 4 to 2,000 years BC. Its exquisite design, made from striped stone, testifies to the high level of skill of ancient craftsmen. The bear's head on the dagger's handle is not just a decoration, but possibly symbolized strength, endurance, and spiritual guidance. In a cultural context, it could have been used in rituals related to hunting or the veneration of animals that were considered sacred guardian spirits. The bear in the mythology of ancient Finnish tribes was a particularly revered creature, associated with the world of ancestors and nature spirits. There are no obvious signs of use on the blade, which may indicate its ceremonial significance. Such an artifact may have belonged to an important person in the community, such as a chief or a shaman, who used it for special rituals. Rapa Nui statues. Easter Island, located in the southeastern part of the Pacific Ocean at the edge of the Polynesian Triangle, became home to nearly 1,000 monumental statues created by the ancient Rapa Nui people. The Moai figures were carved from volcanic tuff in the Rino Raraku quarry, and many of them remain there to this day. However, a significant number of the statues were transported and installed on special stone platforms, called ahu, along the island's coastline. The Moai are notable for their disproportionately large heads, which make up about 1/3 of the statue's total height. These monuments, which lack legs, range in height from 2 to 10 meters, although the largest unfinished statue remains in the quarry and reaches 21 meters. The Moai were considered embodiments of ancestral spirits and played an important role in the ritual life of the Rapa Nui people. It is still unclear exactly how the ancient inhabitants of the island moved these giant sculptures across the rugged terrain. There are hypotheses that they used ropes and ingenious techniques to move the statues to their installation sites with a walking motion. The Moai, facing the villages, likely symbolize the protection and strength of the ancestors watching over their descendants. A discovery in a hard-to-reach cave. This bronze dagger with a bone handle is a Bronze Age artifact found in Malta in an almost inaccessible cave under the Dingley Cliffs. It dates back to around 2000 BC and belongs to the Borg in Neidur phase, when a developed Bronze Age culture existed in Malta. However, it is still unknown why the ancient inhabitants chose this remote cave to place their artifacts. Perhaps the place had special significance or ritual value. The dagger's handle is decorated with circular patterns, which draws attention and raises many questions. This motif resembles certain elements of Mycenaean Greek art, which may indicate cultural influence or trade connections. Interestingly, in the Bronze Age village where this dagger was found, shards of Mycenaean pottery were also discovered. Why was the dagger left in this cave? Was it part of a ritual or a symbol of special status? We can only speculate, but every detail, from the green patina on the blade to the mysterious circles on the handle, makes us think about the life and worldview of the ancient Maltese people, and possibly their connections with the Mycenaean Greeks. A precious old brooch. On the British show Antiques Roadshow, which airs on the BBC, a mother and daughter presented an antique brooch in the shape of a ballerina. The piece of jewelry immediately caught the attention of the jewelry expert Joanna Hardy. The brooch turned out to be exquisite. Turquoise, rubies, diamonds, and 18-karat gold are materials that look refined and elegant. Hardy noted that the brooch could be a collector's item and is worth a fortune. The daughter said that the brooch was given to her mother by a Polish jeweler in the 1970s or 1980s. When he was closing his shop, he allowed the woman to choose any item. She chose the ballerina because she used to teach at a ballet school in Chester. The piece of jewelry had special symbolic meaning for her. The expert suggests tracing the origin of the brooch. According to her, the piece has all the characteristics of Van Cleef & Arpels, a well-known company that has been producing ballerina-shaped brooches since the 1940s. However, there was no brand hallmark on the piece, so only the company itself can confirm its authenticity. If the brooch is truly original, its value could reach tens of thousands of pounds sterling. The Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania is one of the most important paleoanthropological sites on Earth, playing a key role in understanding the evolution of early humans. This site contains extensive evidence of ancient hominin activity, dating back more than 2 million years. The numerous campsites and tools discovered here have given scientists a unique opportunity to study the development of early human cultures and their social structure. One of the most valuable discoveries in Olduvai Gorge was the stone tools, which allow us to trace the technological progress of ancient hominins. These tools, used for hunting and butchering animals, as well as processing plants, indicate the beginning of complex social and economic life. In addition to tools, archaeologists found animal remains with clear signs of hunting and processing, which indicates hunting and processing of prey for further use. Ancient means of payment. A bronze coin attributed to Pontius Pilate, the prefect of Judea, was minted between the 26th and 36th years of the 1st century during the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius. This small artifact is a vivid symbol of the power and influence of the Roman Empire in the territory of ancient Judea. Coins from this period reflect not only economic activity, but also the political and religious aspects of the era. On the obverse side of the coin, there was usually an image of a cult object associated with Roman gods, which emphasized Rome's desire to impose its culture. However, this caused conflicts with the local Jewish population, for whom an image associated with pagan deities, Roman and otherwise, was unacceptable. On the reverse side of the coin, symbols such as the cornucopia or drums were often depicted, symbolizing prosperity and control. The inscriptions on the coin mention Tiberius, reinforcing his authority as a ruler. Stonehenge wasn't even close. The stone circles of Gambla, located in present-day Senegal and Gambia, are one of the most mysterious and impressive archaeological discoveries in West Africa. These megalithic structures, consisting of thousands of individual stones, are arranged in circles and lines covering more than 30,000 square kilometers. They are known as the megalithic complexes of Siningane and Vashu in Senegal, as well as Kerbach and Vanyaka in Gambia. The age of these stone circles is estimated to be about 1,500 years, although some of them may be significantly older, suggesting prolonged use and importance of these sites for the local ancient cultures. Each stone circle consists of massive pillars with heights ranging from 1 to 2.5 meters, and the diameter of the circles can reach up to 8 meters. On average, each stone weighs about 7 tons. The complex includes more than 1,700 individual circles, making it one of the largest collections of megaliths in the world. These stone circles are often compared to Stonehenge because of their mysterious origins and unknown purpose. However, Stonehenge doesn't even come close to the scale of the stone circles of Gambla. The purpose of this gigantic structure still remains a subject of discussion and research. One of the most popular theories is their ritual and ceremonial significance. The stone circles could have served as places for religious ceremonies, gatherings, and burials. Indeed, burial mounds have been found near some of the circles, which supports the idea of funerary rituals. In some places, artifacts such as pottery and iron tools have been found, which could have been used in rituals or as offerings. Some scholars believe that the arrangement of the stones is connected to observations of the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, and could have been used to determine calendar cycles or to hold important agricultural festivals. The ancient builders used local materials, such as laterite stones, but the technique of their processing and installation is still unclear. The oldest photographs of people among the old photographs in family albums, you can find rare pictures of ancestors who were born at the beginning of the 19th century. But who was the very first person to be photographed? Several historical figures whose photographs have survived to this day claim this title. Hannah Stille Gorby. She was born in 1746 and lived in Delaware. Apparently, Hannah was a housewife and a farmer. The photograph of Stille was taken in 1839 when she was 93 years old. This is one of the oldest photographs of a person that has been preserved. Conrad Heyer. This man was born in Old Borough, when it was part of the province of Massachusetts Bay. He was born around 1753, although the year of his birth is disputed. It is believed that his photograph was taken in the early 1850s. Mary Monroe Sanderson. Born in 1748 in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, Mary lived until 1852 when she was 104 years old. Aunt Moser. Her photograph was taken in 1852. At the time the photo was taken, she was reportedly 103 years old, which also makes her one of the oldest women ever photographed. Ezra Green. Born in 1746 in Massachusetts, Ezra became a military surgeon. He lived to be 101 years old and died in 1847. The photograph of Green is one of the earliest surviving ones, John Adams. John was born in 1744, and in addition to serving in the army, worked as a shoemaker. 2 years before his death at the age of 104, he posed for a daguerreotype portrait, which is considered one of the oldest. Baltus Stone, a veteran of George Washington's army, who was born in 1747, posed for photographs at the age of 103. He passed away shortly after that. John Owen, born in 1735 in Salisbury, lived to be 107 years old, making him one of the longest-lived people ever photographed. Caesar the African, a slave, was born around 1737. During his life, he outlived several generations of owners. At the age of 115, he posed for one of the earliest daguerreotype portraits of African Americans. Caesar died in 1852, leaving behind a rare testimony of the lives of Black people in the 19th century. All these people left a mark on history not only because of their long lives, but also because their images were preserved in photographs, allowing us to see the past. The plate turned out to be an important artifact. Recently, a gold plate dating back to the 6th-7th centuries AD was found in England. It was discovered by a metal detectorist in the area of Climping, West Sussex. This rare item, representing early medieval art, is now on display in the Archaeological Gallery of the Littlehampton Museum. The plate most likely served as a sword ornament, although it could have been part of other valuable items. A museum representative called it a tiny masterpiece and noted the exquisite filigree made of twisted gold wire, a vivid testament to the skill of Anglo-Saxon craftsmen of that time. Decorative elements of this level speak to the importance placed on the art of weapon ornamentation in the early Middle Ages. Now, visitors to the Littlehampton Museum can closely appreciate the exquisite design and complex techniques used by craftsmen of the 6th and 7th centuries. A relic that is 1,500 years old, archaeologists from Innsbruck discovered a rare ivory reliquary in an early Christian church in Würschen, southern Austria. This unique artifact, which is 1,500 years old, is a box about 20 by 30 centimeters in size, decorated with Christian symbols. A team of archaeologists led by Gerald Graber has been conducting excavations in this region since 2016. On August 4, 2022, they found the reliquary under the altar in a side chapel of the church. Although the artifact was damaged, the researchers were able to identify it as a pyx, a round ivory container richly decorated with Christian motifs. This discovery was the first of its kind in Austria. There are about 40 such caskets known worldwide, and the last one was found about 100 years ago. Most pyxes are kept in cathedral treasuries or displayed in museums, which makes this find especially valuable. Ivory that is lain underground absorbs moisture, becomes soft, and is prone to deterioration. Conserving the artifact required careful and prolonged drying to prevent shrinkage and cracking. For 2 years, the fragments of the reliquary were preserved for scientific analysis. Researchers are working on a 3D reconstruction of the pyx. This process will provide a deeper understanding of the history and significance of this unique find. Traces of the gods. At Ain Dara Temple in northern Syria, in these arid lands, there is a unique archaeological site, the Ain Dara Complex, a group of structures surrounding the majestic center of the temple, which is unparalleled. One of its remarkable features is the giant footprints on the threshold, each up to 1 meter long, clearly indicating their non-human origin. According to local residents, the footprints were left by a deity, and the temple resembles the biblical description of Solomon's temple. The temple dates back to the Iron Age Syro-Hittite kingdoms, which emerged after the collapse of the Hittite Empire around 1180 BC. It survived until 700 BC and was discovered in 1955. Archaeological excavations have made it possible to study its structure and decorations in more detail. The temple stands on a mound and is surrounded by a gallery. Its foundation consists of massive basalt blocks. The walls are decorated with intricate carvings depicting geometric patterns and mythical animals, which testifies to the high skill of its creators. The entrance is guarded by lions and sphinxes carved from stone. Nevertheless, it is still unknown to whom exactly the temple was dedicated. There is a theory that it might have been dedicated to the goddess Ishtar, but there is no exact information. The giant human footprints not only confirm the connection of the structure with ancient myths and deities, but also emphasize its cultural, religious, and mystical significance. However, in 2018, a huge part of this temple was destroyed by airstrikes. Tutankhamun's sandals. This elegant pair of sandals was found in the famous tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun and is now part of the Egyptian collection. These sandals are not just footwear, but a true work of art and a symbolic detail reflecting the worldview of the ancient Egyptians. They are made of wood and covered with intricate inlays made from bark, green leather, and gold foil. The images on the sandals depict Egypt's bound enemies, Nubians and Asians, symbolizing the pharaoh's triumph over his adversaries. The sandals were possibly used as part of ceremonial attire and held special significance. Imagine the pharaoh putting on such footwear as if trampling his enemies, demonstrating his power and his role as Egypt's protector. The inlay and detailing of the work are striking in their craftsmanship, attesting to the high level of skill of ancient Egyptian artisans. For the pharaoh, such items emphasized his status, his divine right to the throne, and his role as the protector of the nation. The Piri Reis map, created in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, is one of the most famous cartographic artifacts of the age of great geographical discoveries. Although only a fragment of this map has survived to the present day, it is kept in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul and was discovered in 1929. The map is of particular interest because it contains a partial copy of the now-lost map of Christopher Columbus, which makes it an important historical document. The Piri Reis map depicts parts of the Atlantic, including the coasts of Europe, Africa, and South America. A surprisingly accurate depiction of South America for the early 16th century, as well as details of the Caribbean and the islands of Hispaniola and Cuba. One of the interesting features of the map is that Cuba is depicted as part of the Asian continent, which is probably due to early misconceptions about the geography of the New World. Another mysterious detail is the southern part of the map, which is interpreted as an early version of Terra Australis, the hypothetical southern continent that was believed to exist at the time. This adds extra intrigue and debate about the possible sources of information used by Piri Reis when creating the map. He may have relied on older maps or used the stories of sailors from his time, which makes this artifact even more significant and mysterious for researchers. Temple for the Lion-Headed Goddess. Temple. In Egypt, in the area of Athribis, there was an ancient temple carved into the rock. Its age is estimated to be about 2,100 years, and it dates back to the reign of Ptolemy VIII, who ruled from 170 to 116 BC. This ruler, known for his complicated political and family history, left behind many monuments, and the new temple became an important discovery. Bas-reliefs have been preserved on the walls of the temple, depicting Ptolemy VIII making offerings to the lion-headed goddess Repit and her son Kalant. Repit was the consort of the god Minra, who was associated with fertility. Archaeologists believe that the temple was built for this particular goddess, although its name remains unknown. During the excavation, scientists discovered a hall where temple utensils and amphorae were stored. At the entrance to the room, unique bas-reliefs depicting Repit and Minra were found. Of particular interest is the depiction of Minra surrounded by deacons, stars that the ancient Egyptians used for navigation at night. These stars have human bodies combined with the heads of animals such as the falcon and the ibis. An ancient city in the oasis. Archaeologists have discovered the ruins of an ancient city over 4,000 years old in the Khaybar oasis in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. This city, named Al-Nata, was founded around 2400 BC and consisted of about 50 houses designed for a population of around 500 people. The city was surrounded by a massive wall, 14.5 kilometers long, which likely protected its inhabitants from raids and harsh climate. Interestingly, Al-Nata was preserved thanks to a layer of basalt that protected the ruins from destruction. The discovery became possible due to aerial observations. From the air, the structure of the city walls and buildings, hidden underground, could be seen. Al-Nata became an important testament to the transition of the region's inhabitants from a nomadic to a settled way of life. Previously, scientists believed that at that time this area was just a desert, unsuitable for life. However, the findings in the necropolis, including metal axes, daggers, and agate items, indicate a high level of craftsmanship and technological development. The Baghdad Battery is a unique and truly mysterious archaeological artifact discovered in 1936 in the Qujut Rabu area near the ancient city of Ctesiphon in Iraq. It consists of 3 components: a ceramic vessel, a copper tube, and an iron rod. The find is dated to the period of the Parthian or Sassanid Empire, approximately from 150 BC to 650 AD. And its purpose still remains unknown. The most intriguing hypothesis was put forward by Wilhelm König, the director of the National Museum of Iraq in the 1930s. He suggested that these artifacts could have functioned as an ancient galvanic cell, a kind of prototype battery. According to this theory, acid or alkali, such as wine vinegar, could be poured into the vessel, which would cause an electric current to arise between the copper and the iron. König suggested that such a device could have been used for galvanic plating of metals or even for electrotherapy. However, this theory remains controversial, as there is no direct evidence of the Baghdad Battery being used for such purposes. Alternative versions suggest that the artifact could have simply been a container for storing sacred scrolls or other items and was not related to electricity. To this day, archaeologists and historians cannot accurately explain the use of the Baghdad Battery. Perhaps this mystery will be solved in the future. Spanish bronze barrel archaeologists have discovered the oldest firearm on the territory of the continental United States. The Spanish bronze barrel was found in Arizona and is believed to have belonged to members of the expedition of Francisco Vázquez de Coronado. This expedition, which took place from 1539 to 1542, was the first attempt by Europeans to cross the Great Plains. But its results turned out to be insignificant, and Spain abandoned further plans to develop these lands. The find is a cast bronze barrel measuring 106.7 centimeters in length and weighing about 18 kilodor. This weapon, similar to a culverin, could fire grape shot or small cannonballs. It was discovered during the excavation of an adobe structure in the settlement of San Geronimo III, where the members of the expedition were located. According to the researchers, this weapon was highly valuable and was left in working condition. Archaeologists believe that it was abandoned during an attack by Native Americans on the settlement in 1541. This unique artifact became an important piece of evidence of the use of advanced technologies of that time by Europeans on the territory of North America. A cat-kneaded dough. This discovery was made during excavations on Mount Zion in Jerusalem, where among numerous finds a fragment of a clay jug was found with the imprint of a cat's paw and claw marks. These marks belonged to a cat that probably kneaded the clay while it was still drying before firing. This is the first such find in archaeology, confirming that the cat felt comfortable enough to display its usual feline behavior on the clay. The jug fragment dates back to the Abbasid era around 750 AD. The marks were not discovered immediately during the excavation, but rather in the laboratory, when the laboratory director, Gretchen Cotter, was carefully examining the materials found on Mount Zion. The size of the paw print is about 3 by 3 centimeters, and the depth of the claw marks indicates that the cat probably stretched and extended its claws, leaving deep marks on the wet clay. Cat kneading is an instinctive behavior that is usually associated with a sense of security and contentment. Cats do this when they feel relaxed and content. Such animal prints on clay artifacts are not uncommon in archaeology, but this is the first time evidence has been found that a cat left claw marks while kneading. Other animals, such as dogs or birds, often left prints on clay that was being dried before firing. This case is unique not only because it is the first recorded instance of kneading on a ceramic artifact, but also because this ancient feline behavior has changed very little over thousands of years. Cats continue to knead soft surfaces, whether it's a blanket, pillows, or our laps, which brings them a sense of calm and pleasure. The iconic collection Missa in Isso in Agenda Defunctorum from 1733 is a rare artifact from the early 18th century created for the performance of requiem masses. This unique collection, used by priests for reading prayers at the altar, stands out not only for its content, but also for the dark symbolism of its design. The book's binding is decorated with an image of a skull and crossbones, emphasizing its purpose in rituals related to death and remembrance. The collection includes chants and texts of the Latin liturgy that were used for the repose of the souls of the deceased. The skull symbolism on the cover reflects the contemporary view of the transience of existence and a reminder of the inevitability of death, themes characteristic of the Baroque era. Such books were works of art, symbolizing the mystique and grandeur of Catholic rituals. It is known that bindings with such symbolism were often made specifically for churches or noble families who wanted to emphasize their connection to religious tradition. This collection was probably used in a monastery or chapel, serving as a reminder of the need to pray for the repose of souls. Ancient love for sweets. Humans developed a taste for sweets long before their diet changed, and as scientists have discovered, our ancestors were predisposed to it because of their ancient DNA. The AMY1 gene, which is responsible for breaking down complex carbohydrates, appeared much earlier than previously thought, and may have played a key role in the development of civilization. The process of digestion begins in the mouth, where saliva contains amylase, an enzyme that turns starch into simple carbohydrates. It was previously believed that this enzyme appeared with the advent of agriculture, when bread and starchy foods became part of the human diet. However, a study by the University at Buffalo and the Jackson Laboratory in the United States showed that saliva and amylase existed more than 800,000 years ago, long before the advent of agriculture. A study of ancient genomes, including those of people who lived 40 to 45,000 years ago in Siberia, revealed that they already had between 4 and 8 copies of the AMY1 gene. This suggests that the mutation responsible for the synthesis of amylase appeared as a result of natural selection. Moreover, this gene was present in both Neanderthals and Denisovans, which confirms its ancient origin. The comparison also showed that in modern Europeans, especially farmers over the last 4,000 years, the number of copies of this gene increased, which is related to changes in diet. Treasures of the Third Reich, 2 treasures. On the popular British show Antiques Roadshow, a visitor brought what he believed to be a rare Leica camera, decorated with Olympic rings, an eagle, a swastika, and the date 1936. He was sure that the device was connected to the Olympic Games in Berlin and was a valuable Nazi artifact. However, the show's expert, Mark Allam, who specializes in antique cameras, came to an unexpected conclusion. The camera turned out to be a fake. The guest said that he bought the camera for £480 at an antique shop, thinking it was a good deal. Allam, impressed by the camera's appearance, noted its beauty, but quickly pointed out the details that revealed it was a fake. He explained that the antique market, especially in Eastern Europe, is flooded with fake Leica cameras made to deceive collectors. The expert pointed out issues with the serial numbers and the poor quality of the engraving, which is unacceptable for original Leica cameras. A genuine rare Leica camera could be worth thousands of pounds. Baby tooth. Archaeologists from Novosibirsk made an important discovery at the Obi-Obishir site in the foothills of the Pamir Alay in Kyrgyzstan. They discovered about 5,000 ancient artifacts, including stone tools, ornaments, and a modern human tooth. Canadian anthropologist Ben Saviola from the University of Toronto confirmed that this tooth belongs to Homo sapiens. Archaeologists compared the findings with earlier complexes in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan that were studied back in Soviet times. These complexes, located in the mountains of the Tian Shan and the Pamirs, showed a striking similarity in the types and methods of stone tool processing. Before this discovery, it was believed that humans did not live in Central Asia between 20 and 10,000 years ago due to harsh climatic conditions. The discovered Homo sapiens tooth, dating back to the Mesolithic, became the first find of its kind in the region. 100 Iron Age artifacts. Archaeologists in Denmark made an incredible discovery. More than 100 types of weapons, including spears, swords, knives, and a rare chainmail. All this was found beneath the house of an Iron Age chieftain. The collection is about 1,500 years old and may have been a ritual offering after wartime success. The weapons were found under 2 5th-century houses, which probably belonged to an influential chieftain capable of raising an army. Among the items are 119 spears, 8 swords, 5 knives and axe, and a chainmail shirt that presumably belonged to the chieftain himself. Such armor was expensive and difficult to make, which highlights its importance. In addition to weapons, archaeologists discovered bronze neck rings, known as oath rings, which were symbols of power in the Iron Age. Fragments of harness, a bronze horn, and other metal objects that still need to be studied were also found. In the 1st to 4th centuries, Denmark was on the outskirts of the Roman Empire and was part of Greater Germania. The local inhabitants were mostly farmers, but Romans such as Julius Caesar mentioned the fierce Germanic wars. Some scholars suggest that the Romans might have supplied local tribes with weapons to maintain order on the borders. The moment Ernest Shackleton's ship sank, the discovery of the Endurance under the Antarctic ice in 2022 was a real miracle. Now, thanks to modern 3D scans, we can see the ship that sank in 1915 in the finest detail. These scans show what the ship looked like when it was trapped by ice during the Imperial Trans-Antarctic expedition led by Ernest Shackleton. The technology used for scanning made it possible to capture details such as plates scattered on the deck, a boot by the railing, and even traces of a signal flare fired as a farewell to the ship. Endurance has been preserved almost in its original state, as if it sank only recently. These unique 3D scans allow scientists to study the ship, which, due to its remote location and ice cover, is considered one of the most inaccessible in the world. An ancient city in Micronesia. This amazing complex was built on artificial islands connected by a network of canals, which is why it is often called the Venice of the Pacific Ocean. The complex includes about 100 artificial islets. The islands were created from massive basalt blocks, laid out in such a way as to form walls, platforms, and buildings. Each structure is surrounded by water channels, which makes this place even more mysterious and impressive. The age of Nan Madol is estimated to be about 1,500 years, but some studies suggest that the first structures may have appeared much earlier. Archaeologists believe that the construction of this complex began at the end of the first millennium AD, possibly under the leadership of local rulers of the Saudiler dynasty, who used Nan Madol as a ceremonial and administrative center. The main mystery of Nan Madol is how the inhabitants of Pohnpei Island were able to build such a complex and massive city with limited technology and resources. Each basalt block used in the construction weighs from several hundred kilograms to several tons. Transporting and installing such heavy blocks would have required significant effort and knowledge. Basalt was quarried on the other side of the island, which meant it had to be transported through difficult terrain and water. Considering that the ancient builders did not have modern technology, this achievement seems almost impossible. Some researchers suggest that the stone blocks could have been transported using rafts and ropes, while others point to the possible use of lever and ramp systems. However, none of these theories fully explain how the ancient Micronesians managed to lay and align these massive structures so precisely. Nan Madol is also surrounded by numerous legends and myths. The locals believe that the city possesses magical properties and that it was built using supernatural powers. Some myths claim that Nan Madol was home to spirits and was used for rituals related to ancestor worship. To this day, this ancient city inspires awe and respect among the people of Pohnpei, and they avoid visiting Nan Madol after sunset, believing it to be a place inhabited by spirits. The only one on the entire Earth. Discovered in 2010 in the Mogok region of Myanmar, Kyothoite is perhaps the rarest mineral on Earth. This reddish-orange crystal, weighing only 1.61 carats, just 0.3 grams, was originally unnoticed by the miner who was hunting for sapphire. Only after analysis conducted by Dr. Kyotho did the mineral receive its name, and in 2015 it was recognized as a new mineral by the International Mineralogical Association. Kyothoite consists of bismuth and antimony oxide. Despite the seemingly simple composition, its atomic structure is unique, which makes the mineral exceptional. Another unusual property is its high density, which is 8 times greater than that of water. These characteristics, along with the rare geological conditions of its formation, make kyothoite a real mystery for scientists. The mineral formed in a pegmatite within an igneous rock that was created during the final stages of magma crystallization. Today, the unique specimen of kyothoite is kept at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, where it is carefully preserved as a scientific treasure. Kyothoite remains a unique testament to the geological processes that shaped the Earth millions of years ago. Although synthetic versions of minerals are possible, natural kyothoite is of great value to science, helping to understand tectonic shifts and the evolution of minerals on our planet. Ritual Table in Tava-Tepe, in Azerbaijan, a team of Italian and Azerbaijani archaeologists discovered a ritual table that is 3,500 years old in the ancient settlement of Tava-Tepe. This place is located near the borders of Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. During the excavations, a round-shaped adobe structure was found. The structure includes a kitchen area and a ritual table. Between 1500 and 750 BC during the Late Bronze Age and the Early Iron Age, nomadic peoples probably used Tava-Tepe as a resting place before traveling through the mountains. Archaeologists also found a ritual table with 8 recesses and many ceramic containers, black-fired ceramic dishes, and long flat pebbles for stirring food. In the corner of the kitchen, a thick layer of ash and clay tokens with fingerprints have been preserved, which may have served as food ration tokens. At the entrance, there were originally wooden columns, and a thatched roof covered the entire complex, which was about 15 meters in diameter. Outside, animal bones and discarded pottery were found, as well as human figurines placed in sacrificial pits. And the fact that the structure was sealed along with all the pottery indicates its ceremonial nature. Remains of people with enormous heads. Scientists from the University of Honolulu and the Chinese Academy of Sciences made a unique discovery by finding the remains of a previously unknown species of ancient humans, Homo gomogeluensis. This species is believed to have gone extinct about 200,000 years ago. At the Shujeyao site, archaeologists found 16 skeletons, stone tools, and animal remains. A distinctive feature of the new species was their massive skulls. The cranial volume, ranging from 1,600 to 1,700 cubic centimeters, is significantly larger than that of Homo sapiens, which is about 1,300 cubic centimeters, or Neanderthals, which is 1,400 cubic centimeters. However, scientists emphasize that a large skull does not always indicate higher intellectual abilities. Instead, it could have been an adaptation to the conditions of the Ice Age, when the climate became cooler and harsher. Homo juliensis hunted wild horses, ate their meat, and used their hides to make clothing. They lived in small groups, which made them vulnerable to climate changes and other external threats. Interestingly, the dental structure of Homo juliensis is similar to that of the Denisovans, another hominid lineage that existed in the late Quaternary period about 300,000 years ago. However, like many other ancient species, Homo juliensis likely disappeared due to the emergence of Homo sapiens, who genetically displaced the local populations in Europe and Asia. The Jordspring boat was found in the Jordspring bog in Denmark and is the oldest plank-built vessel in northern Europe, dating back about 2,300 years. The boat is almost 20 meters long, weighs about 530 kilograms, and could carry 24 people with weapons and equipment. The planks of the boat were made of linden, the oars were made of maple, and there were curved extensions at each end. The extensions make the boat an outstanding example of ancient shipbuilding, demonstrating the high level of craftsmanship and engineering knowledge of that time. Linden was chosen for its lightness and strength, which made the boat fast and maneuverable, and maple for the oars because of its hardness and durability. 9 Commandments out of 10. The oldest known stone tablet with 9 of the 10 Commandments carved on it is being prepared for auction. Experts estimate that the price could reach $1 to $2 million. The marble tablet dates back to between 300 and 500 AD and was discovered in 1913 during the construction of a railway. On the southern coast of modern Israel, near the sites where early synagogues, mosques, and churches were located. The marble tablet, about 2 feet tall and weighing 115 pounds, contains 20 lines of text in Paleo-Hebrew. It first appeared on the market in 2016 and was sold for $800,000. For a long time after its discovery, the significance of the tablet remained unclear. At one point, it was even used as a tile at the entrance to a house, which caused some of the letters to be worn away. In 1943, archaeologist U. Kaplan acquired the tablet and identified it as a Samaritan Decalogue created by the Samaritans, an ancient religious group whose beliefs were based on the Old Testament but differed from Judaism. The text on the tablet almost completely matches the biblical commandments familiar to both Christians and Jews. However, one of the commandments, "Do not take the Lord's name in vain," is missing. Instead, it contains instructions to worship on Mount Gerizim, which reflects the religious beliefs of the Samaritans. 1. Astronomical Observatory. A recently discovered ancient Egyptian observatory, the first of its kind, demonstrates the Egyptians' profound knowledge of astronomy and their close connection to spiritual and ritual practices. This is the largest and earliest known observatory in the history of Egypt. The remains of the 6th century BC structure were found 3 years ago during excavations in the ancient city of Buto, now known as Tel El Farain, in the Kafr el-Sheikh Governorate. "Everything we found exceeded our expectations," said Qassam Ghanim, director of the Kafr el-Sheikh Antiquities Authority and head of the Archaeological mission. Archaeologists discovered the ruins of an L-shaped mud brick building covering an area of about 850 square meters. The eastern entrance leads to a place where sunlight illuminated the observation point for the sun and stars, where the priest astronomer stood. His image has been preserved on the walls, facing the rising sun, depicting the connection of the ancient Egyptians with the cosmos. Initially, researchers thought they had discovered a temple, but the discovery of artifacts and inscriptions related to astronomy, such as sundials and other time-measuring instruments, led to the conclusion that it was an observatory. Inside the hall, astronomical images of the sunrise and sunset throughout the 3 seasons were found. The artifacts found, such as statues of Horus and Osiris, as well as a bronze figurine of Osiris with a snake, confirm the importance of the spiritual and scientific role of the observatory. Prehistoric petroglyphs in a unique location. In the Italian Alps on Mount Pizzo Tricero, amazing prehistoric petroglyphs were discovered, recognized as the highest altitude petroglyphs in Europe. These rock carvings were found in the summer of 2017 by tourist Tommaso Malinverno, who noticed strange carved figures on a rock at the foot of the Tricero Glacier in Stelvio National Park. Archaeologists dated the petroglyphs to the Middle Bronze Age, making them about 3,600 to 3,200 years old. The uniqueness of these findings lies not only in their age, but also in their altitude of more than 3,000 meters above sea level. This suggests that people in those times were settling high-altitude areas. The drawings include figures of people with their hands raised to the sky, a spiral, images of animals, and geometric patterns, the meaning of which is still unclear. In November 2024, another important discovery was made in the Lombardy region, where Stelvio Park is located, and a 280-million-year-old fossilized ecosystem was found in the Orobi Park in Val Altelinese. This confirms that the region is truly a window into the past, bringing together paleontological and archaeological heritage. Unveiling the secrets of a mass death event. During the excavations in the ancient city of Aswan on the Nile, archaeologists discovered 30 tombs dating back to the Greco-Roman period. These burials, found on a hill, contain mummies of children and parents, coffins, papier-mâché masks, amphorae decorated with grape leaf patterns, and offering tables. Ancient oil lamps left by mourners were also found. The necropolis is unique for its terraced layout. 10 levels of tombs are built one above the other into the hill, which sets it apart from the usual 2- or 3-level Egyptian burials. This place was used for about 900 years from the 6th century BC to the 3rd century AD, when Egypt was ruled by the Persians, the Ptolemaic dynasty, and the Romans. Studies have shown that between 30 and 40 mummies belonged to newborns and children under 2 years old. With the help of X-rays, CT scans, and DNA analysis, archaeologists and doctors at the University Hospital in Aswan found that the main causes of death were anemia and infectious diseases. Even among wealthy people, the study of the spine in the mummy confirmed the presence of tuberculosis, which could wipe out entire families. Cinderella's slipper. The story of Cinderella, one of the most beloved and well-known fairy tales, has deep roots that go back to ancient times. Many cultures have created their own versions of this fairy tale, from Greek to Chinese. However, the first European literary version, included in the collection Pentamerone by Giambattista Basile in 1634, tells an unusual version of this story. In the Italian fairy tale, the heroine Zizola is shown as not innocent at all. Her first stepmother dies as a result of Zizola's own scheme, after which her place is taken by a cunning governess. But after marrying Zizola's father, she turns into an even more cruel stepmother, adding 6 daughters who drive the heroine to despair. Everything ends with a wedding to the king, though Zizola's journey isn't entirely fairy tale-like. Interestingly, in the Italian version, Cinderella doesn't lose a glass slipper, but rather chopines, unusual shoes on a high platform. These accessories were popular in Europe in the 14th to 17th centuries, especially in Venice. Made from wood or cork, they could reach incredible heights of up to 50 centimeters and even higher. Chopins served not only to protect from dirt, but also as a status symbol. The higher the platform, the higher the woman's position in society. This strange element of footwear perfectly reflects the spirit of the time and the social realities of the era. Venetian chapines, with their massive soles, were true works of art, often decorated with brocade, embroidery, or jewels. Perhaps Cinderella managed to attract the attention of kings precisely because of such an unusual footwear attribute, even though walking in them was not easy. Ancient inscriptions of pharaohs in the Nile. Archaeologist divers explored algae-covered rock formations at the bottom of the murky waters of the Nile in Egypt. At first glance, the stones seemed unremarkable and unusual, but upon closer inspection, scientists discovered several inscriptions related to ancient pharaohs. A joint team of Egyptian and French archaeologists decided to explore the ruins of the reservoir in Aswan. Under a layer of algae, they found several carved images that are at least 2,300 years old. The images range from drawings of ancient Egyptian pharaohs to hieroglyphs. In the photo, you can see several well-preserved carved figures. The shapes are blurred by water and are quite difficult to distinguish. One set of inscriptions looks like a row of mannequin heads above 2 objects resembling tombstones. These ancient inscriptions are still being studied. Archaeologists believe that these findings can help us better understand how ancient kings ruled in those distant times. A mold for making gold images. In the central part of Falster Island, located in the southeast of Denmark, an enthusiast with a metal detector made an incredible discovery that could rewrite something. Not only the history of the region, but also shed light on a little-known page of Danish history. Leonard Larsen, walking in the rain in search of artifacts, heard a faint signal from his device. After digging up the ground, he discovered a small, unusual object, a matrix for making golden images, which were presumably used in cult rituals as offerings to the gods. According to archaeologists from the Lowland and Falster Museum, this find may be connected to an ancient center of power or religious activity. The matrix, measuring only 2 centimeters, dates back to the period between 500 and 700 AD, before the beginning of the Viking Age. Such artifacts are incredibly rare. Only 28 similar matrices have been found in Scandinavia, and none south of the Baltic Sea. The matrix from Falster depicts a person in elaborate clothing, standing with arms down and palms facing outward. This gesture is found in both pre-Christian and Christian cultures, and symbolizes either submission or revelation. The features of the depiction remain mysterious. It is still unknown whether the matrix depicts a man or a woman. It is possible that this is a figure of a king expressing devotion to a deity, or, on the contrary, a god appearing to a human. Underwater ruins of the oldest civilization. In the early 2000s, a team of researchers, led by the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications, made a sensational discovery off the coast of Cuba. At a depth of about 600 to 750 meters on the ocean floor, strange structures resembling stone buildings were discovered. These structures looked like organized rows of giant stone blocks, some of which had a regular rectangular shape and resembled massive walls or pyramid-like buildings. The initial results of underwater research conducted using modern sonar led to the hypothesis of the possible existence of a sunken city that may have been swallowed by the ocean tens of thousands of years ago. According to some estimates, the age of these ruins may exceed 50,000 years, which is significantly older than the earliest known civilizations such as Sumer and ancient Egypt. This makes the possible discovery even more intriguing, as it suggests the existence of ancient and possibly highly developed cultures that science knows nothing about yet. Some scientists believe that these ruins may represent the remains of an ancient city built before the last ice age, when the sea level was significantly lower. There is a theory that this area might have been inhabited by ancient peoples who were later forced to leave their homes due to rising sea levels. This hypothesis is supported by proponents of the theory about the existence of ancient sunken continents, such as Atlantis, described in the works of Plato. Some geologists suggest that these formations may be the result of natural geological processes, such as erosion, earthquakes, and other movements of the Earth's crust. Further research and analysis of the underwater ruins off the coast of Cuba requires significant resources and time. Let's hope that the authorities will find the means to study these ancient ruins. The Mausoleum of Imam Reza is one of the most important religious complexes in the Islamic world and a center of pilgrimage for millions of Shiites. The architecture of the complex impresses with its grandeur and refined decorative work. Its magnificence reflects many centuries of Iranian history, during which the complex was repeatedly rebuilt. The mausoleum's mosaic work, mirrored panels, and golden domes that adorn it create an atmosphere that transports visitors to another world of spirituality and tranquility. Every millimeter of space seems to come alive with light reflected from thousands of mirrored pieces, creating the illusion of infinity. The complex includes not only the mausoleum itself, but also mosques, libraries, museums, and religious schools. Valuable manuscripts, relics, and works of art are kept here, symbolizing the rich cultural heritage of Iran. One of the most mystical features of the mausoleum is the ancient legend that prayers said here come true. Pilgrims from all over the world come to the tomb to ask for health, forgiveness, or a miracle. Ancient wolf from the permafrost. During an expedition in Siberia, an incredible discovery was made. An ancient wolf, amazingly well preserved in the permafrost. The wolf carcass, discovered at a depth of about 40 meters near the Terechtiak River in the Abiski district of Yakutia, was transferred to the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk for further research. The condition of the wolf amazed scientists. After 44,000 years, its fur, bones, organs, and even its fearsome teeth have been preserved. Experts call this discovery unprecedented, as it is the oldest known wolf to have been dissected. They hope that studying the stomach and other organs will shed light on the wolf's diet and environment. The stomach remained isolated without contamination, which will allow for an instant snapshot of the biota of the ancient Pleistocene period. Studying its contents can reveal not only what the wolf ate, but also its prey. By the wear of the teeth and the development of the sagittal crest, it has already been determined that this is an adult male. The study of ancient bacteria can help in the development of new medicines and biotechnological products, which highlights the great significance of this discovery for the future. This discovery not only reveals the mysteries of the ancient world, but also opens up new formidable opportunities to endure until the end.
Сущего.
The clay sculpture Sitting Mother Goddess from Balochistan, Pakistan, belongs to the Bronze Age and dates back to approximately 2500–2000 BCE. This artifact, measuring only 8.6 cm by 2.9 cm, is kept in the collection of the Metropolitan Museum in New York. The sculpture depicts the Mother Goddess, a symbol of fertility and motherhood. A distinctive feature is the detailed rendering of the hairstyle in the form of star-shaped wavy locks, which may symbolize vitality and protection. The large breasts and hips emphasize the cult of the feminine principle, which was common in ancient cultures associated with agriculture. Of particular interest is the similarity of this sculpture to similar artifacts found in other regions, such as Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. The sculpture is believed to have served a ritual purpose. It was probably used in ceremonies related to the fertility of the land and women. A more mystical interpretation suggests a connection with ancient cosmic cults, where the figure could symbolize the link between celestial and earthly forces, acting as an intermediary between worlds. Egyptian sarcophagus and the Simpsons. Archaeologists in an Egyptian tomb discovered something unique, a 3,500-year-old sarcophagus with an image of Marge Simpson from the popular modern animated series. On the lid of the sarcophagus, there is an image of a woman with yellow skin in a green dress and with a blue crown resembling Marge's famous hairstyle. But in reality, the sarcophagus belongs to the New Kingdom and depicts the goddess Nut. The tomb belonged to a 16-year-old girl whose parents probably didn't have much money. However, they did their best to give their daughter a proper burial. As for such a coincidence, there are two options. Either the Egyptians predicted The Simpsons, or the creator of the series, Matt Groening, has secret knowledge about ancient cultures. Amulets, jewelry, and stone and wooden sarcophagi were also found in the tomb. Sarcophagi of the New Kingdom were often decorated with carvings and paintings depicting the deceased, deities, and scenes from the Book of the Dead. Why do you think the resemblance is so striking? Write your opinion in the comments. The handle of the knife is shaped like a gladiator. Archaeologists found a rare artifact, a handle from a folding copper knife in the form of a miniature gladiator. The find is more than 2,000 years old. It was discovered by divers in the River Tyne near Corbridge, a Roman settlement in Northumberland next to Hadrian's Wall. This is rare evidence that admiration for Roman gladiators reached even the outskirts of the empire. The handle depicts a secular gladiator, a powerful warrior in heavy armor with a closed helmet and large weapon. The unique feature of the figurine is that it depicts a left-handed person, which is surprising because in ancient Rome, this was considered a bad omen. It is possible that the figurine represents a specific warrior who was specially trained to use his left hand in order to gain an advantage in the arena. Gladiators, despite often being slaves or convicted criminals, could become real stars of their time. Their battles attracted crowds of spectators to the amphitheaters, and victories turned the fighters into legends. Even today, their romanticized image continues to attract attention, as proven by the success of movies like Gladiator. How the hilt ended up in the river and who its owner was remains a mystery. Winged demon on an ancient seal. In Israel, a 2,700-year-old stone seal was found with images of a winged figure and inscriptions in ancient Hebrew. The find was made near the southern wall of the Temple Mount and dates back to the period of the First Temple. The seal is made of black stone and is decorated with an inscription that translates as, "For Yehuzer, son of Hashayahu." Archaeologists noted that this is one of the most beautiful seals found in Jerusalem. The seal depicts a winged figure dressed in a striped shirt and a headdress. According to Assyriologist Dr. Filip Vukasovich, such winged demons are found in Neo-Assyrian art of the 9th to 7th centuries BC and served as protective magical figures. The seal probably belonged to a high-ranking official of the Kingdom of Judah and served as both an amulet and a symbol of authority. It reflects not only Assyrian influence, but also the owner's connection to the local Judean culture. The appearance of Jesus Christ has been reconstructed. Modern researchers are actively engaged in reconstructing the appearance of historical figures, including Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, and even Jesus Christ. By the way, the reconstruction suggests that Cleopatra was far from the beauty she is often portrayed as. Now, scientists have also reached the image of Christ, which is traditionally associated with long locks, a beard, and a robe. However, analyses of archaeological finds and texts suggest that his real appearance was different. According to scientists, Jesus had brown eyes, dark skin, and short curly hair. His clothing probably consisted of a simple knee-length tunic and a woolen cloak. This is exactly how people of his time and social status dressed. He led a modest lifestyle, spent a lot of time outdoors, which could have left wrinkles on his face, and his hands and feet were probably calloused from hard work. An interesting discovery was the earliest known depiction of Christ, dating back to the 4th century, found in modern-day Syria. In this ancient painting, Christ is depicted with short hair and no beard. However, in later Christian art, he began to be depicted with white skin and European features, which became the canonical image. In 2015, the physician Richard Neef created a composite portrait of a man from that region based on skulls from the relevant anthropology. This reconstruction suggests that the real appearance of Christ was closer to a Mediterranean appearance than to the image we are used to. Dr. Mary Meredith Warren from Sheffield University believes that such reconstructions may bring us closer to reality, although it is impossible to fully prove their accuracy. The absence of lifetime images of Christ leaves room for interpretation by researchers. Nevertheless, new research about his appearance helps us better understand the era and context in which he lived. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. This will help promote the channel. Thank you for watching the video until the end. Goodbye, everyone.